Hey folks, Dwayne from Grandpa's Garage, the little garage that could. Welcome back. It's been a little while since I posted last. The last videos that you would have seen were just after I came back from the Winnipeg World of Wheels. It was a great show and some great folks there, and I just had a really good time with that. But I figured it's time to get back in the saddle and start shooting some more videos for you folks on the make some more progress on my 34 Terraplane Tudor to 3-window coupe conversion. The next piece that I'm going to be working on, I've started a little bit already, is the doing a trunk lid for the coupe. I'm hoping to make use of some of the original panel from the old trunk. There's not a lot of it that I'll be able to use, but in particular I want to try and make use of the latching setup. It's more than adequate for what I need. Hinges as well, if I can do that. So and there's also a prop rod on there that you know, I want to keep this build a fairly straightforward, simple kind of a build. But yeah, so anyways, I'll just grab some gloves here and I'll show you one of the things that I did here earlier. I unfortunately had some music playing in the background and it kind of overwhelmed the video, so I just decided to erase them. So of the original deck lid, this is the inner structure that I cut the doors or the trunk skin off of it, and yeah, there's probably not really a lot of it that I'm going to be able to use. Let's see if I can do it like this. Okay, so this lower section here, that's where the latch fits, and up here you got the mounting pads or a mounting pad for a hinge, and the opposite side is the mounting location for the prop rod. So essentially, because we've only got one hinge mount, that's not really of much value. We're going to be manufacturing my own hinge mounts, and as far as a prop rod, I'll see once I get into it, once I've got a structure on here, whether I want to make use of that in a modified configuration from what was original. But this section here, which is on the very bottom there for the latching, I may actually end up using a decent amount of that. It'll have to be somewhat blended in, but the latch more than anything is the important piece, and it's got to be mounted accurately to engage on the catch appropriately. So now anyways, the other thing that I did when I was working earlier is I got some tubing rough cut to length, cleaned up and ready to go, which is probably a good thing that I got that all done before videoing, because it got kind of dusty in here. But I also came up with a rough design on the structure for this. So just to kind of give you an idea of what I'm thinking. So this would be a bird's eye view basically of the trunk lid, and of course this doesn't have the curve that the trunk will have, but just to kind of give you a rough idea. So I've got a piece on the bottom that has to be, it's actually got to have compound curve. So that one will take a little bit of messing around with. And then the corner pieces for the radius, we're going to be building those separately. I won't be using tubing on those. I'm going to create a jig and make the corner radius for all 4 corners. Yeah, if I use tubing, because it's such a smaller radius, by the time I get it to where it should be, it will have distorted the tubing so much that it really, you're almost further ahead just to go ahead and build them from scratch. Cut them all out and then weld everything together, and then they fit. So then the other thing, of course, is going to be your side rails on either side, an inner side rail, which I'll be doing between those two and these rails right here. And again, they're all going to be formed, they all got to match with the contour that we're going here. Those rails, in particular these guys right here, the inner ones, are going to add a lot of torsional rigidity, and I'll be adding some plating on the corners as I've drawn on there, just to kind of brace everything so that once it's set in place, the whole frame structure will be set in place, and then I'll be adding the gussets on there. The other thing I'll be doing is on the top, between this piece and the very top piece, there will be on the bottom side a piece of 1/8 plate. We'll be putting that on so that we can get some secure mounting for our hinges, because if it's kind of flimsily built, then when you go to mount your hinges and you've got the frame there and then you've got a skin on top, it adds a lot of weight, and those things can twist up and they can just make a bit of a nightmare. But so that's the basic plan that we're running with on this. I was just about to start running some of the tubing through, and I'll be trying to get things fairly accurate to match the radius that's on the trunk here. Again, like each one is going to be slightly different. So the ones that are on the right and left side are going to be matching to what's there, but the length will be different, and then the inner ones will still have the same radius, but then when you go from the sides to the top or the bottom, they're completely different again. The radius that I'm going to have to match for the bottom is not a match for the top, and so then by the time I add intermediate supports in there, each one of those is going to be bent appropriately, so that when your skin gets put on there, the skin sits on there proper. You don't have any high spots in the structure, and you don't want any kind of impairment on the panel where you're getting a dent coming up through the panel because it's too close to the structure underneath. Because essentially your skin floats above the structure. Most manufacturers will put an adhesive, a flexible adhesive in between the structure and the skin so that it supports, but it's not directly tied in. So it's going to be a bit of a process. So we're going to start, and I'll just start bending some of these pieces. I'll show you what I'm doing as I'm going along. I'll try to explain what I'm doing. Most of it's pretty well common sense, but yeah, I'll try to give as good information as I can. We're going to try and do this to the best of my ability. It will not be perfect, but it'll be good. It'll be definitely good. So let's start by bending some tubing. And the tubing, in case you haven't, didn't realize, usually what you have to do is you take the length that you need, and of course you allow a little extra, And what you actually have to allow for is a spacing between the center of the main forming wheel, and you have the lower guide wheels. So that from here to here is 8 inches. So that means that when you have your piece, if your piece is, we'll say 30 inches long, you have to add at least 16 to 18 inches extra. And yes, at the end of it all, it'll get cut off. It's not really a waste, because if you don't do that, you'll never get an accurate bend for the section that you need. In my garage, excuse me, all this stuff gets put to use regardless. So, you know, if I have a couple of 8-inch pieces down the way, I can use that for bracing or spacers or that sort of thing. Generally, I'm hard pressed to throw much away. So, but anyways, we'll start on this, and I hope that I can do this in such a fashion that you can kind of see what I'm doing fairly well. To a certain degree, you'll be having my back facing you a little bit, but we'll see what we can do. Okay, so the top basically adjusts the drive wheel. The lower guide wheels are fixed. They're not going to go anywhere. Generally what I do is I bring the guide wheel down till it touches, stop there, and then put a couple turns into it, and then just start bringing it back and forth. I try not to go too much at a time. I'd rather do it many more times and have a nice, smooth, even transition. Otherwise, if you put too much force down on the guide wheel, what it'll do is it'll actually kink your tubing, and it's just not a smooth transition. And we're trying to do this, you know, in reasonable fashion. So we'll start off with a little bit, and then we'll crank. There's a turn and a half, and keep track of the turns that you got on here, because on 4 of these pieces the curvature is going to be the same, so you want to keep them all the same. You want to keep that all consistent. Otherwise, if you don't keep track of that, it'd be very, very hard to keep them all the same curvature. So this is one way to do it. Okay, so that was just a turn and a half, which is not really a lot. I always find that because you don't use a tool like this every day, it takes a little bit to get used to it again. I don't want to be putting a lot of pressure on there, because I don't want any kinks in this. I want a nice smooth transition on the whole radius. So now we're going to put in a little more. You'll find that once you've made contact and you start rolling, it takes a lot less to move it some more. Now this is going to be a fairly slow process for 4 of these pieces, because they're for the sides, but that's just the way it is. But we'll work through it. So. Now, in previous videos, for those of you who have been following me for a while, you would have noticed that I had this tubing bender actually mounted on the stand which houses my bead roller as well. What I found was that, excuse me, it was definitely too low. So decided to put it up on this, which brings it to a more comfortable height for me, because you know what, when you're doing a lot of this, I find personally that I like to have it at a fairly comfortable height. It just this works better. Like, go easy on ourselves. We've got lots of work to do. So. Now the other advantage to doing this, like you'll notice that what I've been doing after the initial push on this is I've only been going like a half turn. One, it makes a nice smooth job on this, and you know what? It also makes it easier to do. So if you put too much pressure on it, you got to try and crank, and it'll slip or skip, and it's not good. So I'd rather take a little bit of time and have it done the way that's best for me. So now, one of the other things that I don't think you can probably see it on the camera, but I can just point it out for information's sake, is you can see, because I'm going through and getting the radius going, the point where it stops is, it's about 7.5 inches from the end, at either end. So I've given myself a little bit of room to play, so that I'm going to have more than what I need to make my radius, which I'd rather have that and then still be able to cut it down to what I need. But here we go. Four and a half. Okay, so I can see it's got a good curvature on it now. So I'm going to back this off. I'm going to try it on the car and see where we're at with it, and whether we have to stop or whether we have to keep going. It'll tell us right away. Okay, so definitely we have to add some more. Not a lot. I think we're in the ballpark. So now we're at 6.5 turns. Seven. Seven and a half. Okay, I think what we're going to try it again, because now when we're getting this close, you don't want to go too far and have to bend it back. It can be done, but it's just, again, try and work it a little bit smarter and not create work for ourselves. Okay, so I think that we were really close there. So that was 7.5 turns on the crank, on the guide wheel, sorry. So we're going to go ahead and start on the next ones. We'll make all 4 of these guys so that they're all, we can dial them in so that they're all exactly the same, and go from there. 3.5. 4. 4.5. 5. 5.5. 6. 6.5. 7. 7.5. Okay, we're going to take this out and compare it to the other one. We should be fairly close. This particular piece is just a little bit shorter, so the curvature may be slightly different, but it shouldn't be too far. Okay. It does need just a little bit more, so I gotta be careful with this. Again, I don't want to be putting too much on it. So there, we're pretty solid there. So I'm going to go maybe about a quarter turn on this one, and then we'll see where it's at. A little bit more. That should put us pretty much right on the money. Yep, that's pretty much right on the money. So because this one is a little bit shorter, of course I had to accommodate that, but this is going to be the inner side rails, so they're going to be cut shorter regardless, but the curvature where we need it, this radius here is the same on both pieces that I've done so far. So we can keep watching this if you would like, but not really necessary. I guess I can go through it, but it's kind of redundant after a little while of watching. But anyways, you see what I've done there. I think I'm going to probably do the others off camera, and maybe what I'll do is when I come back to the lower rail, because it is actually compound curved, so it doesn't just curve like side to side, it also curves top to bottom. So to be able to adjust that, we want to accommodate whatever way we need to, and that might be a little bit more interesting working through that sort of thing. But for now, I think we're going to call this this video, and we come back and I find something that I think would be more interesting for you folks, then I'll definitely open up another video, and we'll carry on. But for now, I'm just going to keep working out these pieces, and I want to thank you folks all for coming along and watching my videos and supporting my channel. Appreciate it very much. It means a lot to me to have people showing their support, and I would urge you to like, share, and subscribe. Also, the thing I would encourage people to do is comment. Like, I'm definitely open to comments. I read all the comments, and there's some great information that, you know, sometimes when you're in the middle of things, you don't see the obvious, and I'm human, so I definitely make mistakes, but I also appreciate the feedback, just so I know what direction I'm going. If it's something that you find was not interesting at all, or if you have suggestions on something you'd like to see, then you know, make the comments. I always appreciate seeing that. Like, again, the feedback is always good, and sometimes even feedback that's not as enjoyable is still a good thing, because you learn in the whole process, and as Gene Winfield used to always say, every day is a school day, so we all learn, and we should learn something every single day. But for now, this is Dwayne from Grandpa's Garage, the little garage that could, saying talk to you soon.